question from Bouncer Smith to start out, and he says, "What speed is most consistently productive
For what species of fish?
For what species of fish?" Let me ask him. For which fish species? Let's see what he says. So last week we had Mike Sheeter on the show.
Yep.
And I was thinking about you a lot because he got into talking about Hawaiian lures.
Mm-hmm.
And it was pretty cool because Carl was here with him, and he started getting into how the way the Hawaiians fish their lures really set them apart, and how he kind of brought that to Guatemala. And then because they were mainly the people there when Chris got there was fishing mold crafts and stuff like that for the most part. And then they really brought the Hawaiian lures to the scene there. I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
And I couldn't help but think about you and wanted to kind of ask you. I'm like, oh man, I want to get Andy in here to talk to him about that because it seems pretty cool to think that you get lures from all over the world, fish different ways for different reasons. But it's interesting when they cross over into different, so.
Yeah, they can be used in so many different ways, I mean, Guatemala fishing's mostly teaser fishing if they're using a lure.
Mm-hmm.
But since it's a mostly calm water fishery, I'm sure a lot of that transferred from fishing in Hawaii to, and not all of Hawaii's calm. The Big Island in Kona, it's calm, but a lot of those islands it's rough. So you see a difference between lure makers in different islands, whereas most of the guys in Kona can get away with really radical slant-faced lures because it's calm, whereas you go to, say, Oahu, most of their stuff is heavy because it's rough.
Right.
So you see quite a change amongst the islands as far as like where they're
from
fishing.
Island to island?
Absolutely. Because
really?
Some guys are fishing in the rough water, and you'll see those lures like Futa and guys like that from Oahu.
Mm-hmm.
Their lures are very heavy to stay in the water in the rough. And then Kona, they can get away with like as light as possible because it's flat calm every day.
Okay.
Yeah. And
that's cool.
But like Guatemala is very calm most of the year. So a lot of that probably transferred for Mike and his brother to do that there.
Yeah, and they said once they brought that in, people were looking at them like they were gods. Like, oh my God, what are you guys doing? And
you can make
eventually the secret got out.
The lure can look so much better instead of just having this flat-faced lure out there where you can have something that's really pushing hard in calm water and it looks so much bigger and better.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure it made a huge difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, they brought a lot of knowledge there, like the toothpick thing and all that. So they talked about that. And then Carl started talking about that. And Mike was like, shh.
That's kind of a thing of the past, but I always say toothpicks are for getting food out of your teeth. But for the longest time, I mean, that they peg their lure. A lot of guys still do it that way. They peg their lure. They peg the position of their hook with toothpicks.
Yep.
And whatever works.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just the way
if it stops spinning, it stops spinning, right?
That's it.
Yeah.
That's all it is, just to keep everything straight and running the right way.
Yeah.
Well, what happened too with a lot of the older Hawaiian lures is they weren't so perfect. So like one might pull to the right.
Okay.
And those guys could tweak their hook and then peg it.
Right.
And that would correct it and bring it back into position more.
Yeah.
So it was like a keel on a boat where you could just kind of get it to angle back in a little bit and run the right way.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So, they weren't.
So when you're designing them, I mean, you have all that in mind. Like I'm going to design for this, so many for this island and so many for that.
Yeah, I mean, most of the stuff that I make, the things that I make now are so precise versus the older or the handmade Hawaiian stuff where no two were alike. And still a lot of those lures, no two are alike because they're sanded and they're
They're not, surfboard. It's like
not
a surfboard.
Paying attention to detail, not using precision molds. There's really no comparison, but if you lose one of my lures, you can actually go buy another one and it's going to run the same. That's the advantage because everyone is the same almost to the gram.
Question.
Yes.
So going back to like the cannons in Kona like 35 years ago and the tenure there, like is that what shaped your mind on what you're building nowadays?
So
like, is that
I was actually making lures before I worked at Cannon Kona's. And Gene Cannon basically was a guy from here, boat captain, and he copied some of the Hawaiian lures and made them here because there was really nobody doing that here.
Right.
His stuff was a little rough, but he had a niche market and he did pretty well with it. I think I learned what not to make from a lot of that.
I mean, that's part of the process, like learning what not to do too, for sure. Yeah.
I was always like a perfectionist, so I always wanted to have things that ran great, things that did what I wanted them to do.
Yeah.
And we've achieved that now. It's taken a long time, but we've achieved that now. I don't think there's anybody, not to pat myself on the back, but I don't think there's anybody that makes the quality and consistency that we do.
Yeah.
I just don't see it. I've bought every one of my competitors' lures, and I've looked at them, and I can find faults with almost every one of them. So.
Well, Bart's only had faults since it went production. That's right. He didn't have many prior to that, correct?
So when he was hand making lures, they were nice. I mean, he was a fisherman, and he designed what worked. So they were great, but he couldn't keep up. And then when they went to a higher production, they cut some corners, and I think the quality has gone downhill a little bit.
Yeah, rust out a little bit around the eyes.
There's a stainless
production will do that.
Stainless steel insert which gets water through the center tube, which causes the insert to rust, which is not a good thing over time. But I'm not knocking anybody.
It is what it is. Anytime you up production or mass production or assembly line your items, and so you can't ever beat handcrafted quality. You really can't.
We're trying to make the quantity and still keep the quality, and it's hard, but you just have to stay on top of the quality control.
That's a really good way to start this house. So listen, officially welcome you to the Connected by Water podcast, powered by Joey Cardi, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, and fueled by our very good friends at Pop's Pilar Rum. Remind you to never be a spectator. Once again, welcome Andy for the 15 millionth time on the show. So it's always really amazing having you on and just hanging out with you. It's just cool. It was nice that you showed up like way early so we actually get some time to actually really hang out this time.
I'm always early.
Yeah. So and then and Carlene's
here.
Is back in the saddle. You like the new side or like where we're at? Like, yeah, we do too. So and welcome back, guys. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. All that stuff is behind us. So we're getting into the new year, and it's nice to start that off with Andy. We had our last episode of the year. We ended it with Mike Sheeter, starting it off with Andy Moyes. I think that's a pretty good turn on the year right there.
Is this the first one of the new year?
This is the first. Yeah, this is the first episode of the year. Yeah, and this is what episode like
party
145. So yeah,
we all made it.
No more Y2K. Y2K didn't get us this year.
Another year.
It's been a while, right? We've been waiting for that still to happen.
Yeah.
So this is, I like the vibe today. Like, I mean, everyone came early and we were all just hanging out. You know what I mean?
Nobody knew what they were going to talk about.
Nobody knew. We still don't know.
No.
Right? But that's it. But
that question was from Tommy Ackle, just so you know.
Okay.
He went
all right.
Blue Water Chairs.
Okay.
So we're going to try to field some questions today for Andy, because I think that's a really good way. You have obviously an extensive amount of experience and knowledge in so many things: hunting, fishing, lure making, and among it all. But I want to kind of have some other people pick your brain if they can.
Yeah,
and then yeah. So I actually texted Dave Farrell just before the show started, and we love Dave, and he says, "Is there one lure in the world that you wish was never invented?" Dave's always good for a question.
I know where he's going with that. I can't say I wish it was never invented, but if I had to pick one that was never invented, I would say the cowbell. But I know where he's going with it. So Moldcraft makes the wide range, which has been around forever.
Mm-hmm.
And I always said it's the lure we love to hate.
Okay.
Because it works so good, but I've missed a lot of fish on it.
You've missed a lot of fish.
Well, yeah, and I like Tiny and I would always say it's the lure we love to hate. Like you want to have it out all the time because it works so good, but then I've missed fish on it because of the way it rolls around in the water and really has no center, no bottom to it.
Right.
So you don't really know where your hook is most of the time, but it works very well.
Oh, so it's
and it's a staple. I mean, I would say if there's one lure that everybody in the world uses, it's a mold craft wide range.
Okay.
Yeah. Even in Hawaii.
Yeah, Dave's funny. Dave, I remember one time I brought Dave in on the podcast. It was actually the first time Dave was on the show, and he drove in because he lives in Orlando. But he records the show with Rick and Bree down here.
Right.
And he comes in, and we went for like 2 hours. Right. I'm like, all right, Dave, we're gonna wrap it up. And he's like, well, I ain't got nowhere else I need to be. Like, podcast's over, Dave. Sorry, man.
Is that why you have the couch?
That's what you say to my brother Carl all the time, too, don't you?
The what?
The podcast is over, Carl.
Yeah.
Yeah, podcast is over, Carl.
Go home now.
Yeah.
Love you, bro.
Charter's over. Time to leave.
So you just got back from Hawaii?
Yeah.
All right. Where'd you stay?
I was at a friend of mine's house there on the Big Island.
On Big Island?
Yeah.
Yeah. Fish?
No, I never went fishing.
You never went fishing?
No. I had friends that were fishing every day. The fishing was great.
You rolling around in the bungalows.
I just, I went hunting.
Okay.
A few days. Went pig hunting. Went wild sheep hunting.
Yeah. Doesn't Shane Dorian do a lot of hunting?
He does, and he lives there. He lives on the Big Island. Yeah, Shane's actually friends with a lot of my friends.
Okay.
And he's a big bow hunter for sure.
Yeah, I always see him
Yeah.
posting all that up.
Yeah. Yeah, he's definitely a Big Island guy and contributes a lot to the local kids and has surf camps now and teaches kids how to surf and become
his
better.
son is a ripper.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he has no choice.
Yeah.
But Shane is in amazing shape. Like everyone that I know, they say he's got a motor that nobody else has. The guy takes really good care of himself and
yeah.
Yeah,
I've heard that about him too.
The guy I was hunting with said that he hiked this whole mountain trail don't quote me on this, but I think from Mauna Kea to Mauna Loa between the two volcanoes and like almost killed himself.
Really?
Yeah, like he was there for a while and shot a sheep and these are just stories that I'm hearing from a friend of mine, but
yeah.
And everyone said, hey, don't be afraid to call for help if you need help because it's not an easy feat to do that. But guy's in super good shape and loves to hunt and, of course, surf. But
how much like do you focus on like keeping yourself in shape for hunting?
Try to. I mean,
because you got like especially when you're going for elk like you do, like and the bigger
anything in the
bigger
mountains,
species, you got to really like stay in shape.
Because coming from sea level and going to altitude is tough, number one. We weren't super high when we were sheep hunting in Hawaii, but...
I would have been. I would have been super high.
The first day...
Come here, sheep.
We were super high after we hunted.
Yo, sheep, where you at?
I got something for you.
But I walked 10 miles the first day and burned 1,200 calories.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, and that's not even exerting yourself.
That's just walking.
That's just walking. Yeah. So imagine going, at an incline at altitude, really working for it, getting your heart rate up. You would probably burn more than you ate in a day.
Yeah.
For sure. So you'd be exhausted.
Wow. So I mentioned earlier, you mentioned earlier actually, but what I thought was you were talking about with the lures and saying like no one lure is the same and everything, but, and how you got it to the point where you're down to the gram and getting them to be the same. And I couldn't help but think about like surfboard shapers and like the great shapers like the Al Merricks and guys like that. That my brother would shape surfboards when we were kids, and he eventually went a different path and focused more on golf and everything after a while, but he would always say, it's like, man, you really got to shape like 1,000 boards before like one is like acceptable.
Yeah. And imagine somebody like when he was shaping boards for Kelly Slater, imagine him having to make 4 or 5 of the same board.
Yeah. It's very tough.
And getting them to be close enough to where he would never know the difference.
Yeah.
When he's riding, it's hard.
Yeah. And a guy like Kelly would know the difference.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of it went to CNC machining, you know, so they could get the precision.
Right.
Everything was the same. And that's
so much of that has come so far.
Oh yeah.
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 So how does that, like, can you equate that with like lure making? I mean, give you some examples.
Sure,
of, like,
because when we make,
I'm not asking to throw anyone under the bus or anything.
No, well, when we make our originals and we make our mold off of that original, everything we make is the same. So all of our insert keel weights are within a gram. When we pour the resin where everything gets cut, we're within a gram, 2 grams. So there's really no difference between 2 lures.
Right.
In that range of whatever they are, whatever shape it is.
The mad lure scientist.
It is it's like mad scientist. It is. You know, because before guys would just build something or build 20 of something.
Yeah.
And then if you put it on a lathe and start sanding material away based on how good your mold is, if your mold's very clean, you won't have to take much material. But if you've been using the same molds for years and years and years, and you're getting these imperfections that are on the outside, now you have to sand to get past that and then polish. So if you put micrometer or caliper on any of those, say 5 of that same lure, no 2 are the same. So now you're decreasing diameter versus one that might be a little bigger, and the size of the face is different than the other. You know, so no 2 are the same.
Yeah, once you take away, you can't put back.
Whereas we're not doing that.
Right.
We're not doing that sanding process. So everything comes out the same.
Nice.
Yeah, it is. It's more work and it's more money, but it comes out better.
Yeah. The you had a pretty good season up there in Canada this year.
Always. That place never lets down.
I know I keep saying this, like, I'm going to go.
You need to go.
But this is the year in September that...
Yeah. September, October.
I'm just going to pack a backpack, jump on a flight, and then I'm going to hermit up there with you.
Do it.
Yeah. And be a bum.
It's an experience.
New A-framed cottage.
It's a special place for sure.
And Tiny went with you?
No. Tiny did. He fished.
Yeah, he went up there.
He did fish. Yeah, he did. He was there for
right before the hurricane. You had some adventures up there this year, didn't you?
4 days. Yeah. So
All right, so take me through that whole trip.
Crazy.
I was gonna save some money and rent a truck instead of driving my own. So I rented a truck, and about 30 minutes from town, I got into a little thunderstorm, and I hydroplaned off the highway.
Oh my God, that's right.
Yeah, 360'd into the median
that's right.
ditch.
I totally forgot about that.
Smashed the bumper. That was it, and got the truck fixed. Anyway, fished the season, and.
Would you hit black ice or something?
Just water.
Just water.
Hydroplaned. Yeah, I was
really,
and I was 10 miles an hour under the speed limit. I couldn't believe it.
Oh yeah, this is only September.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was just a little rainstorm. I couldn't believe it. So I got it fixed. Cost me $3,000 to get a new bumper. And
because he was saving money.
Yeah, I was saving money.
Right.
So finished the season, finished fishing, and I get in the truck and I'm driving home, and I'm 5 minutes leaving the cottage, and a deer comes running down the hill and face plants into the quarter panel as fast as she could run, and takes out the quarter panel, the whole front bumper, grill, headlights, everything.
I think I just called him and said, drive safely, like on the way home.
Yeah.
Just drive safely.
Wow.
So I drove it home like that, took it back, and I got a bill in the mail a week later for $6,500. Of course, I didn't take the insurance, you know, so yeah, I didn't save any money.
Oh man.
Yeah.
But you caught a lot of big fish.
Fishing was great. Yeah, fishing was really good.
I remember. I mean, obviously, I was going to go up just with you for a while, but then Tiny even came in. He's like, "Hey, come up with us."
You should have gone.
I should have gone, and then I didn't go. And then the next day, or whatever, first day after, he's like texting me, pictures of all the big Volkswagens you guys are pulling out of the water.
Really big fish when he was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, like 1,200 pound fish, really big fish.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if I'm allowed back in the country yet or not.
So you're not allowed in Canada anymore.
Has it been 10 years?
I think it's been.
You're banned?
It's been over 10 years.
10
now.
years, you're good.
Banned from Canada.
Yeah.
All right, I got a question here from your sister.
Okay.
I just texted her. And did we talk about this before yet? It was, ask Andy how he caught his first pompano.
She said that the last
We
time.
did,
I was
right?
here.
That's what I
yeah.
thought.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to tell
better
her.
question. How come you didn't show up to Christmas dinner? I'm just kidding. Just saying.
He was in Hawaii.
No, she
I
said
know.
that.
Getting laid.
She asked that question last time.
All right, I'm going to say, Andy says you asked that before. That's funny.
She's losing
You
it.
gentlemen just let me know when you need something.
Yeah, we need something.
What do you need? You ready?
Sure. Why not?
All right, so I texted her back and I said, Andy says that you already asked that question. So, Casey Hunt wants to know, upsea or downsea, calm or rough?
If I have my choice.
All right,
If I have my choice,
yeah, I guess so.
yeah, downsea and calm.
Downsea and calm.
I don't know. So the way that I've always liked to troll was cross current,
Mm-hmm.
which isn't always that comfortable. I think lures look better downsea than upsea because you're not ripping them through the wave.
Right.
And then calm, of course. Everything looks great when it's calm, and you don't get beat up either. I've had enough days in rough water.
Yeah.
I could care less if I ever do it again, but unfortunately, fish like to bite when it's rough. So
It's funny how that works.
yeah. So I was always taught, say you have a depth contour from shallow to deep. I was always taught to fish onto the land and back, into the shallow and back. If you have that option. You don't always have that option. You might be too far offshore. So then it comes to his question, downsea or upsea.
Right.
Unfortunately, there's a time where you're going to have to go upsea. But we all prefer going downsea. Everything just looks so much better.
All right.
And you may have to adjust your speed too, because if you're going upsea, you might be fighting wind or current, and you might have to go a little faster. And then downsea, you're going to speed up, so you might have to pull it back a touch to keep everything looking right.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And you're going to adjust your lures accordingly for that, right?
All the time, adjusting lures. You have a windy side and a calm side. If the wind's blowing to your side, whichever side it's hitting,
right,
you may have to bring those lures down a little bit because the chop, whereas the other side's going to be a little calmer and you can go up with them higher. So that's the thing. Like, guys that are very good at lure fishing will constantly adjust, to the conditions that are there.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you don't have to, but it makes a difference to make everything look better.
Yeah, I think, you got to work with what the hand you're dealt, right?
It's not just set it and forget it, throw them in the water and troll around. That's not the way it works.
Yeah.
It's just like bait fishing where you have to keep working all the time
to
be good at it.
Yeah, I mean, it makes total sense, that you'd have to adjust to the condition.
Yeah, absolutely.
At every aspect. I mean,
yeah.
All right, Casey. So there's your answer. Did you see this next question comes from Captain Skip Dana, but I have to add in here about the Surreal boat that they just took that boat out. I talked to Mark Rapetsky today on the phone, who's part of the Surreal team, and they actually had a pretty good day, or pretty good 2 days of their tournament.
Were they fishing Silver Sailfish Derby?
Yeah, they fished the Silver Sailfish Derby, and that was the first time they had fished the boat.
Right.
Like it was like they had just got it off the yard with all the things, and still not everything was technically done that they wanted to get done, and so they were like learning the boat like as they go.
Sure.
And he said for a 92, he said that boat was pretty maneuverable.
Yeah,
it moved around pretty good. So they had a pretty good. I think went 5 for 5 on the first day.
That's good.
Yeah,
because the fishing wasn't that great.
Fishing wasn't that great.
Yeah.
I guess one boat, it was a priceless. I think
sat down on them.
Yeah, they had like 12.
Bite,
but that was like the only boat that really
Yeah.
fished like that.
That's good though.
Yeah, and then But yeah, so and they said they love the boat. So how could you not, right? 92 foot
It's a big
of
old
fun, right?
old boat.
Yeah, sure is. Skip wants to know what your all-time favorite lure is, though.
All-time favorite. I say it all the time. If I had to use one, it would be the blaster that we make, just because you can pull it in anything from flat calm to 20-foot sea.
Yeah,
it's just one of my favorites. If
all
I
right,
had
what's
one.
you kind of any of your granders on a blaster?
Nope.
So no, right?
No.
What have you cut? What like all your granders?
There's been eight granders caught, and they've been on 8 different lures.
8 granders on 8 different lures.
If you can believe that, yeah.
Wow.
That's
so
crazy.
do you remember where they're all caught?
Yeah.
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 All right, so you got one.
On this note, Big J wants to know, and with your sickest bite, when and where.
Your sickest bite, when or where?
Your most memorable spread you put out. So this is probably going to gear into what we're talking about right now.
So there's been, let's see, first grander was caught in Mozambique on a Kaivi lure. Second one was in the Azores on a large Argus. Third one was Ascension Island on a 13.
Wow.
It was a 1305, 1,305 pound fish. So still the ladies all tackle record.
Wow.
One in Hawaii on a sumo, which is a teaser,
right?
But the guy put a hook in it. He's actually a kid from here that was working on a boat there in Oahu.
Was that in Kona?
No,
Oahu,
that was in Oahu.
Yeah,
so that's what for. Another one in the Azores on a large plunger, 1,075. Black marlin on the reef in Australia on a medium pipe bomb.
In Cairns?
Yep. I'm trying to think. I'm gonna lose it now.
Madeira? Nothing?
We caught a couple in Madeira that were over, but didn't weigh them. I'm trying to think. There's a couple more. They're not coming to me now.
Hillsborough Inlet?
No, I can't remember now. But it's 8 different lures.
How many did you just count? 6?
6, I think.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, so let's see if we can remember the
last
two
I will.
The
I'll try to remember.
It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few other guys that have that many or more, but it's still kind of cool to get
It's impressive for them too.
To get that phone call,
Yeah.
Say that we caught 1,000-pounder on one of your lures. That's
neat.
Yeah,
that is pretty cool.
It is. Yeah. What was Big J's question?
When and where was your best bite, biggest spread, nicest spread?
Best bite. I still think the
sickest bite.
Okay, it sounds like Big J. I think the best blue marlin bite I've ever seen was in the 97 BBC when my friend Josh Brown was still alive with us. And it was a 789-pound fish. And I remember it was rough. We just changed the baits out. And nobody saw the bite but me. And we were going down sea in like an 8-foot sea. And the fish came completely out of the water like a kingfish and landed on the bait.
Really?
Yeah, and I started clearing the rods, and the captain, Jack's like, "What are you doing? Let's just wait and see what's going on." And I didn't even stop. I just kept clearing. And then,
you knew it right away.
And then the fish came up tailing down sea, already hooked. And when he saw it, he was just like, everybody start clearing. And we had an epic battle with the fish. It was only an hour and a half, but it was super rough. The boat almost sank. I had to go in the end.
Why'd the boat almost sink?
Well, the bilge pump stopped working, and we were taking much water, and the high water alarm went off. So I went in the engine room, and it was almost up to my knees. So I turned the crash pumps on so the engines pumped the water out, and we got that situated. Got the fish on the leader. It was really tough, and finally gaffed the fish. And as soon as we gaffed the fish, this giant bull shark comes behind the boat, and he's coming. I mean, he's going to try to eat this fish or take a bite out of it. So luckily, we always had several guys on the boat, and I just put the meat hook in its eye, and everybody grabbed a piece of rope, and when it came in the boat, the shark was right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was probably the best blue marlin bite I've ever seen, just because it was so big. You know?
Man, who was it? I was just reading something on Facebook. I don't think it was Bo Jennings, but it was someone that was talking about. Oh, you know what? I think it was Brian Tony.
Okay.
It was talking about the art of everyone's releasing marlin now, and no one's really boating them much anymore. And you guys were both kind of commenting like that is like a lost art.
It is 100%.
Yeah.
Actually, Brian Tony was running the boat that caught the
sumo one.
No, that caught the fish in Ascension Island.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah,
take me through that a little bit.
The 1305.
I want to hear it in your words. Like, what's the lost art aspect of it?
So,
and take me through the steps that are missed from release to boating.
What's happened is most of these tournaments have gone to release format. So a lot of the younger guys, unless they go to Australia or somewhere that takes a fish, maybe Hawaii, they never get to see that.
Yeah.
So their idea of catching a blue marlin is, the biggest rod on the boat's a 50 with a 250-pound leader, 300-pound leader, and they grab the leader and the hook straightens out, or they tag the fish and they let it go.
Right.
So that's such a small part of actually catching the fish. I call it trick fishing. You're release fishing, you're just backing down on the fish or chasing the fish forward, whatever, and you grab the leader. It's super fun.
Right.
It's a really cool thing, But to put a fish in the boat's a whole different deal.
Yeah, that's more the hunt.
Because now you're fishing heavier leader, maybe a stronger hook, and you have to gaff the fish and get it in the boat. And so many people just don't understand that dynamic. You have a great crew that works well together. One guy's a leader guy, the other guy's the gaff guy. They can switch on and off. If it's going to go wrong, it's going to happen at the side of the boat.
Right.
That's where it's going to go wrong.
Yep.
You think you've caught this big fish, and then you stick the gaff in it, and it decides that it doesn't want to be there anymore. And you better have your
you better be in the position for that to run,
because things need to happen very fast, and you need to get that fish under control, tied off, tight as you can get them to the boat. With meat hook in the eye, your gaff secured to the cleats. I've seen it where the fish gets his head, and he'll rip those gaffs right out of himself and go away. And it's not a good situation for the fish or the people on the boat. So
yeah, no, definitely not.
It's an art. You're dealing with a very, very strong animal that's pissed off. And if you don't make it happen the right way, it's going to go wrong. So,
and I've never been on a boat that's really boated like a grander.
It's
that's got to be a whole nother ball of wax.
It is. It doesn't even matter if it's a grander. You could get a 600-pound fish that's alive green, that you caught pretty fast, and he's going to eat your lunch.
Yeah.
He's going to let you have it at the side of the boat. And it's dangerous. Someone can get hurt. You have guys getting pinched in the corner by the gaff rope. The guy on the leader can get pulled over. He can break a hand. The gaff pole swings around. It can knock someone out or kill them or break their ribs. There's a lot that could happen there. So to get it under control and get the fish subdued as quickly as possible is the key. And then get them in the boat. In the Bahamas, you have the issue with sharks. So now you have this thrashing fish that's bleeding. A lot of guys sit there and high five, fish is in the water next to the boat. We never did that. We never celebrated until the door was closed and the fish was in the boat. And it's a dying art.
That's true about the sharks, man. That's a whole other ball of wax over there.
It could happen while you're fighting them. Australia, that's one of their biggest issues is fighting a black marlin for any length of time. The sharks hone in on it, and they were the ones.
Are they having shark issues like we're having in Florida?
I don't know, but they've always had sharks.
Yeah,
because there's so much life on the reef. Those sharks are always there.
I'm curious about that now that you bring that up. Like, because I know we're kind of unique with the shark issue here compared to obviously in Costa Rica and Guatemala, it's like a non-factor.
Right.
And a lot of other places around the world.
Yeah.
But, you bring up Australia now, and I'm like, oh, man, that's another hot spot. It's kind of very similar to what we're dealing with. I wonder if they're having, like, similar
I don't
issues.
know. They were the guys fishing on the reef were the first ones to start using heavy drag.
Mm-hmm.
Like really putting heavy drag on those fish to catch them faster. Because the longer they're in the water, the more opportunity the sharks have to find them. So, yeah, that's never good. You don't want your fish being eaten by sharks all the time.
All right. Well, we got another what's your go-to lure question, but it's on the back end of what your favorite time of year to target marlin while fishing our local waters. That comes from Jim Rubeck.
Local waters. Typically has always been spring through summer when the dolphin are around. And the big schools of bonita are around.
Nice. We're getting a phone call. Let's patch in Mike Myatt here from Papa's Pilar Rum. I think Mike might have a question for you today.
Hey, you have Andy on there, right?
I have Andy on here.
Okay, so Andy, I've got a question that has been haunting me since I saw one of your posts a while ago.
Okay.
Aunt Jemima or Mrs. Butterworth, and why?
I love this. I still have my Aunt Jemima bottle.
Yeah, why did they
Myatt coming in strong?
Did they get rid of Mrs. Butterworth?
You know what? Unfortunately, they were just like bottles with no features.
Okay.
Which completely creeps me out.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. What did Uncle Ben do to anybody to deserve his picture taken off his box? When you read the stories of these people, like you did, with Aunt Jemima.
I think it's sad. I think it's sad that they erase history. And it's almost like they erased history without knowing what the history was. It was never an insult to anyone. If anything, it was a compliment to people for
the businesswoman that
creating a business and doing well with it. So
I couldn't agree with you more.
The cancel culture
I'm
thing
looking
is
at a
crazy.
bottle right now. I have 2 bottles of the Aunt Jemima original syrup, the 12-ounce bottles, the small ones, because my wife doesn't eat syrup.
Yeah.
And I refill them.
I do too, Mike. I do too.
Are you gonna
I feel like my my dad, God bless his soul, his wife, she would like take a Crown Royal bottle and pour CC or Lawrence or something like that in there. But now, Pearl Milling Company,
right?
I'll put your syrup in the bottle, but I'm not gonna.
No, I hear you.
Tout your syrup.
I think it's crazy.
That's all.
It's
you guys
crazy.
having a good night?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really good vibe in here tonight. Like, Andy, good buddy, so he comes a little early. We're hanging out, and then Carlene came a little early, and all the boys were here on time, and we were just hanging out for a while before we even started the show. And we're back. We moved the podcast back in the previous gallery here because we had both sides, and we're bringing it back over here, and we got the lights down low. We're just chilling, man.
The dogs are quiet.
Man, I appreciate you, Danny. Everything you do for the fishing community in South Florida, and everyone listens to this podcast. If Dan for everything that he does for the community, the shirts, the murals, the bridges, but a little toot on his horn. He's also a fine artist and has been doing coins for years for the U.S. Mint.
Oh,
yeah.
I appreciate you saying that, Mike.
Hands, their entire family are artists. Denny, I'm going to go out and buy some Legos tomorrow just so I can step on one in order of you, boy.
Yep.
Okay.
You got those pictures of Lego City I sent you, right?
I'm going to tell you, that's
impressive,
incredible.
isn't it? Kid's a genius.
Oh, it's impressive. But the only thing I get to step on here with bare feet are dog bones, and it's not the same. It doesn't hurt as much.
No, you don't get the satisfaction from a dog bone as you do from stepping on Lego. That's for
did
damn
the
sure.
worst thing today.
You need to step on Lego. But anyway, guys, get back to it. Just wanted to
hey,
shout out some love.
Keep those Aunt Jemima bottles. You'll be able to sell them on eBay in a few years for a lot of money.
You know what?
Well, I prefer the other bottles, the ones that say Papa's on them.
They're pretty good too.
Yeah.
I mean, I got to say, we make a fine product.
You do.
And, having you pushing us doesn't hurt either, brother.
So you guys,
doesn't hurt
you guys want to sponsor?
But anyway, I have a little one in my hand.
When are you
if you
going to be
guys
back
want
on the
to
show, Mike?
do just
Ask
a little
him.
pusher.
Nice. Yeah, Andy's trying to put you on. He's got a Wahoo tournament coming up. He wants to talk to you about.
We're having a Wahoo tournament in November at Walker's to benefit Task Force Dagger Foundation. And see if
done
maybe,
and done, man.
Maybe if you want to do something.
That's the hardest part's the ask, and the easiest thing to do is say, get her up. Let's do it.
Perfect.
Hey, Mike, can you end me with the joke you told me about how my wife asked me to kiss her? What?
Oh, that's like a colloquialism. That's one of those jokes you can only use like once in a while.
Okay.
But I'll leave you with a riddle.
Okay.
Okay. If you had a 9-inch penis coming out of the middle of your forehead, how much of it could you see?
Are you going to answer the riddle, or?
Well, I'm going to let you think about it just for another second.
All right.
Probably couldn't see
How much of it could you
balls would
see?
be on your forehead? No.
All right. I don't know.
And you know what? None of it, because the balls would be in your eyes.
Carly got it right.
Carly,
She might have experienced that before. That's not fair.
It's in the opposite direction, buddy.
She experienced it before.
Oh my God.
She really is boss. Well, listen, love you guys. You guys have a great night, and thanks for allowing me to break up the conversation a little bit. But I agree with you too, Aunt Jemima.
You got it, buddy.
I mean, she had hips to die for. Talk to you guys.
How the
Talk
fuck
to you
did
guys
I
a little
guess
bit.
that?
All right, Mike. Love you. See ya.
Later on.
Bye. You know what's the coolest part about that call is that's one of our sponsors coming in with that joke.
That's great.
I think I'm safe saying whatever I want to say.
That's great. That's why you do podcasts. You can say whatever you want.
Jesus.
Yeah.
As long as my kids aren't
The
watching.
joke I was trying to get him to say was because Mike's originally from Bangor, Maine, and he always tells me this joke every now and then, but he hasn't had enough to drink yet, apparently. Because when he does have enough to drink, he'll tell me that joke on cue. Because I always ask. That's why he was laughing. He's like, no, basically telling me he's not drunk enough yet to tell me the joke. He goes, my wife asked me to kiss her where it stinks, so I took her up to Bangor, Maine.
Oh God.
Anyway, that's it. Anyway, so what were we talking about again?
Yes.
I had a question for you too before that call.
I got a question. Chris Sadar says, what's the one fish that you had and lost that you wish you would have a second shot at?
Well, there's only been one, I think.
We're not even going to say anything about that joke. She knows what I'm thinking. Right, good. Tell me your fish. She's about 5? No.
No. Are we talking fish or women?
We're talking fish.
Okay. All right. I mean, you're just talking about stinky stuff, so I just... I didn't know where you were going with that.
Dear Lord.
Okay, so...
You want to get back to this question?
No. So it was actually around that same time in the Bahamas we hooked a fish that is still to this day the biggest thing that I've ever seen. And you're thinking it was the last day of the tournament, we're just trying to make something happen, and we hooked this thing not once but twice, and it looked like that mechanical shark from Jaws. When it came up, everything was moving very slow, and it was so big that everyone on the boat just got super quiet, just hoping that we weren't going to lose it, and we lost it. But yeah, that thing will haunt me for the rest of my life. I couldn't tell you how big it was. And the only other one to that, we hooked a fish in Bermuda that was the only way I could explain it was twice as big as the biggest one that I've ever caught.
Really?
That's the only way I could explain it.
In Bermuda.
It looked like a pilot whale.
Come on.
It was absolutely huge. And my Costa Rican mate that was on the boat at the time.
Sure wasn't a narwhal?
No, he thought it was a pilot whale. He legitimately thought it was a pilot whale. And I was in the tower, so I can see it. It's a blue marlin.
Mm-hmm.
And it ate the lure, and it just stopped dead in the water and started shaking its head, which is the worst scenario.
Right. And
it shook the lure off, and then it came right back through the spread and looked at every lure doing 360s around it, throwing. The amazing part was when it turned and was doing a 360, how much water it was throwing off of its tail. And throwing water 20 feet. Mm-hmm. And then it came all the way on, looked at the teaser, and it swam right down the side of the boat and just kept going down sea. So I got a really good look at it, as did everyone else that was in the boat, and they just couldn't believe what they were looking at. I mean, the width across the back and the length of the fish was just unbelievable. You know, I couldn't put a size on it. The only way I could say is it was twice as big as the biggest one I've ever caught.
Damn, I wish you would have got that one on video.
Oh, it was a heartbreaker, but there's a lot of stories like that with those really big fish.
Right.
You know, it's just it's not an everyday thing that you see one. And then
2,000 pounder.
You know, I couldn't say it was 2,000, but it was.
Maybe 1,700 pounds, right?
It could have been. Could have been that. Wow. 17, 18.
Then you got the record.
Oh, just to catch that thing would have been incredible. And honestly, the boat I was on then, I don't think would have maneuvered well enough to have done what I needed to do with it to catch that fish. Because as Carlene knows, she was on a boat that caught a giant fish in Bermuda. You run out of line very fast when a fish that size gets its shit together.
Right.
And you better be doing some boat driving because it's going to be gone like that. And sometimes you get lucky and they stop and then you can plane them back up. But sometimes you just don't get that second chance. You know, you're just out of line.
Right.
A fish like that goes and gets so far away from you and then goes down.
Pop.
You don't even know where they are.
Yeah.
That's the thing. You have no idea where they are. They could be 300 yards, 400 yards behind you or in front of you. You just have no idea. And then you start breaking line and things like that happen. So, yeah, that was a heartbreaker, but
got that big for a reason.
That's what makes you keep going back, too. So,
this next question is going to segue us.
I like this because it's like all questions tonight.
Yeah.
That's good.
I got a question for you.
I mean, well, we really went in like to this saying we're just hanging out tonight. So, and I think Carlene came up with the best idea. It's like, ask people for questions.
Yeah,
Tiny wants to know if you wear yoga pants.
Ooh.
Only when I do yoga.
Do you really, though?
No.
I want to see this. Like, come on.
Damn, dude, that's pretty hardcore.
No.
That's awesome.
So this question is going to segue us into talking about the one thing we actually really wanted to talk about tonight.
Yeah.
Because it's cool that we get the community together and a lot of your buddies are coming. Oh, actually, before we ask that, we have to ask Lige Lawrence. Did I pronounce that right?
Who's that?
Lige Lawrence.
Lige.
How did you put up with country for so long? That's what he asks.
So, it's the same way I put up with him for so long.
All right. So we got that question in. All right. So Carl Hitch asks us: is there really a tournament for the crossing to Bermuda this year? And I want to answer that, and then we're going to talk about the other thing.
I was expecting a better answer than that, man.
He's gonna have to talk to Buckwheat about that.
All right.
I don't know where that whole thing came from, but I had no idea there was a tournament.
Yeah, I don't know.
You know.
I'm just asking a question. But the one tournament that I do know about.
Yeah, we don't even have a name for it yet, but we will.
It's the Wahoo tournament at Walker's Cay. We'll just call it that.
Coming up with names like Wahoo Battle or something that's going to be like military theme because.
Oh, you don't. Oh, I can definitely help you.
Yeah,
with a name. Yeah.
We're doing a charity tournament for the Task Force Dagger Foundation, which is a foundation that helps Special Forces, SOCOM guys, anything from physical to mental illness, just getting back on their feet, helping their families adjust, helping them adjust. You can look at it, it's taskforcedagger.org, and it'll tell you everything you need to know about it. It's a it's a dear thing to me because my friend Alan Williams just retired this year, 28 years in the Special Forces, and he was very much involved in it. It's a great thing. He's trying to help his own brothers and sisters that came back and have trouble adjusting or have needs. So anything they need, they're there to help them with. That's what we're trying to raise this money for.
Yeah, it's such a great organization. It really is.
It
and
is.
I know I was talking to Jason Harrington is also very good friends of those. Jason is a mutual friend of all of ours here, and he's really trying to get them to come on the show. And I know you're trying to get them to come on our show. We really want them to come on, but they're all over the place. So they're very hard to pin down. That's why they haven't been. They want to come on the show. They will come on the show. We just haven't had the opportunity yet because they're all over the place.
Right.
But one of the cool things that they also do is with their diving aspect of it, and getting down underwater and recovering old bones and old wreckage, even from like World War II.
Yeah.
And they're recovering, dog tags and identifying, whether it be through a DNA or whatever, like who these people were and are.
That's right.
They're finding planes underwater in like 20 feet of water near like Bikini Atoll and all that stuff. And it's very cool that now the families, generations are past, are getting a phone call from them, and saying, "Hey, guess what? We found your grandfather."
Yeah.
Like, what?
No, these guys, they really care about, their living and fallen brothers and sisters, because a lot of these guys are paraplegics that are diving. They're making their own fin attachments. These guys, you're not stopping these guys. They're going, and they're giving it their all. They want to give back as much as they've given to the guys that are coming back now. And I never understood how hard it was for them to adjust. I mean, you think about 28 years.
Yeah.
In the worst situations ever. These are the elite of the elite, the most highly trained guys in the U.S. military. And to come back to not having that, it's tough. That's what they know. That's their life. So, whether they're injured physically or mentally, these guys are helping them get through whatever they need to get through, helping their families get through whatever they need.
I can share a thought on that can only maybe speculate, right? This is complete conjecture on my behalf, but I would think that going into a place where you actually have to do battle, where you'd have to put your mind in that moment just to be able to survive the situation psychologically, right?
Yeah.
And then that cannot be an easy thing to just turn the switch off and come back here.
No.
To where you don't have to think that way, because you're thinking about your life.
Sure.
And once you got one.
And your children.
Yeah, and all that.
And
you
your
got
wife.
one. Yeah. So you got to put your mind into a place of survival.
Right.
And then to come back and not have to think that way
you
anymore. You change your wiring, I think. You would have to, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You have to keep yourself alive so that you can keep the rest of your family alive. That's a tough thing. To turn that off and not let it get to you and do your job and focus on your job. And then when you come back, try to turn it back on again. It must be very difficult.
Yeah. And why they're doing it.
Right.
Especially important. I can only imagine this. And I really, really believe this. And I know you do too. I know everybody in this room does right now.
Yeah.
And I think most of the people listening to this show believes about what I'm about to say. This world would be screwed without the United States of America.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
If we want to take criticism for police in the world or anything like that, whatever, I really don't care. You can imagine this planet without the United States of America going and taking care of all these things that they take care of and keeping balance and keeping peace throughout the world.
Yep. No, it'd be out of hand.
Be out of hand.
It would.
And these are the guys on the ground. These are boots on the ground, as they say, and the ones responsible for managing all that. And when you talk about these guys that you're talking about, and on the level of military that they are/were, those are the guys who are doing the things you never hear about, and the guys taking care of the things that you need them to take care of without you realizing that you need them to take care of it.
Absolutely. No, they risking their lives.
Yeah.
For not just for themselves and their friends, but their whole country. And other countries as well.
Other countries as well.
It's they're not there to just protect one country. They're there to protect the world as we know it, the civilized world as we know it. You know, they go to horrible places, they see horrible things, so that a lot of us don't have to.
We're gonna do a Wahoo tournament for them, and we're gonna raise money.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's it.
And we're gonna get a lot of heavy hitters out there.
Yep.
And so if you think you're out there listening to this and you think you can hang with all that,
yeah,
you know what I mean. And
we're gonna
there's
have
money to be won.
We're gonna have some great things. We're gonna have,
Dennis Friel artwork.
We're gonna have artwork. We're gonna have hunts to give away, fishing trips to give away, a lot of things that people can bid on, lures.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do a bunch of lure packages and one-offs and things like that for people to bid on.
I'll be doing a pretty good amount of hand-painted Papa's Pilar bottles.
Yep.
You know, and I will say, adding about those hand-painted bottles, people ask me all the time, they want to buy them.
Right.
I don't sell them.
Right.
I don't. This is the only way you can get it.
Sure.
It, like, whether it be at like the Jimmy Johnson or whether it be at the Fish for Holly, you know, or one of the premier tournaments that have a benefit to it.
That's right.
It is literally the only way you can get a hand-painted bottle of Papa's Pilar from me. You either have to be like a family member, one of my very closest friends or something like that, you're going to get one.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't sell them. You know, first of all, I can't sell liquor. I don't have a liquor license.
Right.
But regardless of that, even if I wanted to sell as a painting, you cannot buy them. This is the only way you can get one.
Sure.
Right. And we're going to be offering a bunch of those.
Absolutely.
That's
I think it'll be great.
Yeah.
It's a great cause. It's a great bunch of people.
Yeah.
And we're going to do it at Walker's Key.
Mm-hmm.
Carl Allen and his group. I think it's a great location.
Yep.
And I think it's just the right.
How's it coming along there now?
I think they're coming along pretty well. I'm going to check in on that here this week.
Okay.
But we are going to limit it. We're not going to have too many boats.
Okay.
I want to make sure that their facilities can handle what we're trying to do there. So
yeah, I mean, you know, definitely the last thing you want is a
first year. You know, we'll feel it out.
Yep.
But it'll be good. We've already got a lot of interest in it. So
did we make dates yet?
No.
Okay.
It'll be probably. I'm trying to do it as close to the end of November, but not. It'll probably be after Thanksgiving, if I had to guess. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
That makes more sense.
I think so.
Yeah.
After tuna season.
That too.
Right.
Got it.
But yeah, I'll be done by mid-October. So that'll be great. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, we're going to keep everyone in the loop here.
Yeah.
You know, Connected by Water is obviously going to be involved with that one.
Mm-hmm.
And so we'll make sure that people are, we got to create the brand and the look for it and all that, and we're proud to do so.
Yep.
And then and we'll get it going. So well, this is just the first conversation that we're telling people about it, and we're going to get it going. So,
I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I'm excited about it too.
Mm-hmm.
Kidding me? Walkers.
It's going to be great.
I've never been to Walkers.
No?
Nope.
Love that place.
Nope. Be excited to go.
Such a cool place.
Yeah.
And I see why he bought it, you know, because it was a place that was always in his heart from the time he was a little boy. And I remember going there when I was probably 8 years old with my dad fishing, and just always loved that place. Had some great tournaments there. Won some tournaments there.
Oh, I mean,
just
what I know of Walkers is obviously the Flip Pallet.
Yeah.
The Walker's Cay Chronicles. You know,
That's right.
We both grew up watching that.
Yeah.
You know, it was like the best show on TV.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's a great spot. It's been a fishing destination in the Bahamas for years and years and years. It's always had a great reputation.
It's always been one of those spots that have eluded me, and
you know,
and
you'll
then it shut down, and then
it's very small.
Now it's back. Yeah,
you'll like it. It's a beautiful.
What are you trying to say? Kidding.
It's a beautiful place.
Yep. So your sister texted back.
Okay.
It says, Andy says you asked that before, and then she goes, oh, I thought I may have, and then she didn't give me another question, so we'll have to get on Lisa about that one. I'm going to pick a winning question, right, today.
Mm-hmm.
And who do you think the winning question is? You want to pick the winning question?
I thought you would have gave a better answer for Elijah's. A little disappointed in that reaction.
He's trying to push your buttons.
I think, honestly, that Chris Sidaris one about the one that second shot one, because you got to tell us that story about that big fish.
That's a good one.
So, all right, Chris, you're the winner today. I don't know what you won, but you'll win something. We'll figure out. We'll give you a T-shirt. How about that?
There you go.
Cool.
T-shirt and a lure.
T-shirt and oh yeah, all right, nice. All right, cool. Well, listen. Before we go, I want to mention our do-gooder.
Okay.
All right. So let me bring up this text here from Corey. We are our do-gooder, our Starbright do-gooder. Obviously, our Starbright do-gooder of the week is always, people who are recognized in the community as good stewards of their environment. They take all the plastic out of the water, and they make sure that people are knowledgeable about what they can and can't do around the water. I'm holding a picture here of them holding up Mylar balloons that they've taken out of the water, which is our big enemy, ladies and gentlemen. Do not purchase Mylar balloons, and if you do, pop them and throw them in the garbage when you're done with them. Do not let them float away, all right? Because those will inevitably end up in a waterway. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, they will.
And then they got all those scraggly little,
they're nice and shiny.
They're nice and shiny. Yep. And they got all the string that looks like jellyfish tentacles. And
even out of the water, I've seen pictures of those tangled in deer's antlers.
Really?
Yeah, in the woods.
It's horrible thing. So,
and they don't go away.
Mindy and Cody Gordon, right there, up there in Merritt Island. So you guys are our do-gooders of the week. So you win their bucket of Starbright Fun. So thank you very much. I want to remind everybody that if you're going to be cooking, grilling, barbecuing, just oven master stuff, do it with the W sauce, please. And we were cooking with this all through not the vegan shire. I don't do the vegan shire. I do. My favorite is the America's Worcestershire sauce. That is the one that I really love. So we were all through the holidays. We were putting this on everything. So got to try it, guys. And I really what we did on Jim brought in blackfin fish dip,
right?
When we did the Miami Dolphins podcast. Oh my God, it was so good. Like even Yanni over there is like he kept like coming onto the podcast, like taking it away from us. It was like really, really good. So, all right. And also Fedora Sunglasses, we want to give a shout out. And all the great products that they have over there, and I'm really impressed with their sunglasses, and and they really hold up well. They see a lot of fish, and and they got their plan together. So please go check out Fedora Sunglasses. Cool. Carly, you want to say anything? Are you done saying things?
I'm just chilling. I'm just hanging out.
Yeah, just chilling.
Sorry,
just
the microphone's up. I got
That's
nothing
all right.
to say.
Listen, if you're in the market for a new truck or vehicle, why don't you go check out the old Joey Carty Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. All right. Carlene thinks she's funny over there. All right. And if you we are drinking the Papa's Pilar, right?
Yeah, we are.
All night long here, right? And we heard from Mike Myatt tonight, and that is one of the great reasons why, and proof in the pudding of why we are part of the Papa's Pilar family, because they are involved, they love, and they create a great product. And they are into the community just like we are. So,
amen.
So, you guys good? Andy Moyes.
Sounds good.
Thank you very much, my friend.
Pleasure as always.
Yep. Appreciate it. Your
Thank you
ego, it's not your amigo. Always do your best, and at the end of the day, just let God do the rest, and do not ever forget that no matter where we are, no matter what we're doing, even if Carlene's making fun of me, it doesn't matter. We are still all connected by water. Later.
See that. See ya.